The Horn of Africa is a region steeped in history and strategic importance. It grapples with poverty, political instability, and recurring conflict. Tensions have escalated between Ethiopia and Somalia. The conflict is rooted in historical grievances and territorial disputes. Ethiopia seeks access to the sea, focusing on Somalia's coastline. This ambition threatens Somalia's sovereignty. Regional and international actors complicate the situation. A conflict could have devastating humanitarian consequences. Ethiopia's desire for a seaport is not new. Landlocked since the secession of Eritrea in 1993, Ethiopia has been heavily reliant on its neighbor Djibouti for access to the sea. This dependence has come at a cost, both economically and politically, fueling Ethiopia's determination to secure its own independent gateway to global trade. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Ethiopia has adopted a more assertive foreign policy, seeking to expand its influence in the region. This ambition has brought it into direct conflict with Somalia. Ethiopia has signed a controversial agreement with Somaliland, a self-declared state within Somalia, for a naval base on the Gulf of Aden. This move has been met with outrage in Mogadishu, the Somali capital. Somalia views Somaliland as a breakaway region and considers Ethiopia's agreement a blatant violation of its sovereignty. Somalia has accused Ethiopia of backing Somali rebels and interfering in its internal affairs, further escalating tensions between the two nations. Faced with what it perceives as an existential threat from its larger and more powerful neighbor, Somalia has taken steps to bolster its defenses and counter Ethiopia's growing influence. The Somali government has publicly threatened to expel Ethiopian peacekeepers operating within its territory, a clear indication of the deteriorating relationship between the two countries. Beyond shoring up its defenses, Somalia has actively sought to strengthen its alliances with regional and international partners. It has signed security agreements with Egypt and Turkey, both of whom share Somalia's concerns over Ethiopia's assertive posture in the region. These alliances, particularly the one with Egypt, have added another layer of complexity to the conflict. Egypt, engaged in a bitter dispute with Ethiopia over the Nile River, views Somalia as a potential ally in its efforts to contain Ethiopia's regional ambitions. The Nile Dam dispute, fueling regional tensions. The dispute over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, or GERD, is escalating tensions in the Horn of Africa. The GERD is a source of national pride for Ethiopia and key to its economic plans. Egypt views the dam as an existential threat, fearing reduced Nile flow. Years of negotiations have failed, further fueling regional tensions. Section 5. International concerns and the spectre of wider conflict. The escalating tensions in the Horn of Africa, particularly the standoff between Ethiopia and Somalia, have sent ripples of concern throughout the international community. Experts warn that the region is teetering on the brink of a full-blown war with potentially devastating consequences. The conflict has already exacerbated existing humanitarian crises in the region. Somalia, still recovering from decades of civil war, is facing a dire humanitarian situation, with millions in need of assistance. A war between Ethiopia and Somalia would displace countless more and deepen the suffering of those caught in the crossfire. Beyond the immediate humanitarian impact, a conflict in the Horn of Africa could have far-reaching implications for regional and international security. The region sits astride vital shipping lanes, including the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, through which a significant portion of global trade passes. Section 6. Mediation efforts and the path to a peaceful resolution. Despite the alarming escalation of tensions and the very real risk of war, there remains a glimmer of hope for a peaceful resolution to the conflict in the Horn of Africa. Diplomatic efforts are underway, with regional and international actors working to bring the feuding parties to the negotiating table. Turkey, which enjoys good relations with both Ethiopia and Somalia, has emerged as a key mediator in the conflict. Turkish diplomats have been shuttling between Addis Ababa and Mogadishu, urging both sides to exercise restraint and engage in dialogue. The African Union, or AU, has also played a role in trying to de-escalate the situation. The AU has called for a peaceful resolution to the conflict and has offered to mediate between Ethiopia and Somalia. The international community, including the United States and the European Union, has expressed support for the AU's efforts.